Daniel was a young journalist known for chasing stories that no one else dared to touch. He wrote about the paranormal, about places and people that vanished without a trace, and stories that blurred the line between myth and reality. But now he craved something more, something that would shake the world, something unforgettable. One evening, his old friend Aaron texted him, "Come to my village this weekend. There's a grave here from the 1800s. They say it's still alive." For Daniel, that was an invitation he couldn't resist. The village was strange from the moment he arrived. The streets were eerily quiet. The people avoided eye contact, and the air itself seemed to carry a warning. Aaron explained that the grave lay behind the old church, deep within a forgotten cemetery. "No one ever touches it," he said. "They say those who did were never seen again." Daniel simply smirked. He'd heard 100 legends before, but it was his job to find the truth within them. That evening, just before dusk, the two friends walked through the overgrown graveyard. Most of the headstones were weathered and broken, their inscriptions barely readable. But one grave stood apart. It was sunken deep into the earth, yet its stone was untouched by time. The name carved on it read, "Thomas Gray died 1847. Beneath the name were strange markings, symbols that looked almost occult. Daniel bent down, brushing away the moss. As he touched the stone, a cold draft rose from the earth. "Don't," Aaron warned. "That grave isn't right. People say it's sealed for a reason." But Daniel was already fascinated. That night, when Aaron fell asleep, Daniel quietly picked up his flashlight and camera and made his way back to the cemetery. The grave seemed even darker now, as if it absorbed the moonlight. Daniel gently pushed the stone aside. It moved more easily than expected. Beneath it was a small opening, and as he peered into it, the ground gave way beneath him. When Daniel opened his eyes, he was in an underground chamber. The walls were covered in carvings, some in ancient English, others in symbols he couldn't decipher. One message stood out. He was never dead. He was sealed. Ahead, a wooden coffin lay chained and half open. As Daniel approached, his flashlight flickered, and then he saw it. A face. Not a corpse. A face that looked aware. Sunken, shriveled, but breathing. Its eyes suddenly opened. A voice, dry as dust, whispered, "You broke the seal. Time won't turn back now." Daniel staggered in horror, but something grabbed his foot. A hand, cold, thin, and very much alive, pulled him down. He screamed as he was dragged into the darkness. The flashlight fell and rolled to a stop, the beam flickering and fading. The next morning, Aaron awoke and realized Daniel was gone. He rushed to the graveyard and found Daniel's camera lying beside the disturbed grave. The headstone had somehow sunk even deeper. With trembling hands, Aaron checked the camera. The footage showed Daniel falling through the ground, landing in the chamber, and getting pulled into the coffin by something or someone still alive. The video cut off with a sharp scream. Later that day, Aaron visited one of the oldest villagers, a gray-haired man who had seen many things in his time. "That grave belongs to Thomas Gray," the old man said grimly. "He was no ordinary man. He practiced dark rituals. He tried to conquer death and almost succeeded. They buried him alive, sealed in chains, never to rise again. But every 100 years, he wakes, hungry for a new body." Aaron's heart sank. "So Daniel," the old man nodded slowly, "Thomas needed someone new. Your friend is gone, but Thomas is walking again." That night, Aaron sat in his room, unable to sleep. He stared at the camera, its screen frozen, and then it came to life. Daniel's face filled the screen, but his eyes were wrong. They were too dark, too deep, too ancient. His voice echoed with two tones, his own and another hidden behind it. "The one who opens the grave becomes it," he said. "Every story needs a sacrifice." The screen went black. The church sealed the cemetery. The villagers stopped speaking of it. The police closed the case, citing an accident. No one ever mentioned Daniel again. But beneath the soil, the grave stirred. From time to time, the earth would shift, and if you listen closely, you might hear a voice whisper, "Who will come next?" 2 years had passed since Daniel vanished from the village. Official records marked his case as unsolved, but those who knew the truth buried it deep within their conscience. Aaron, the only witness to the horrifying footage, had left the village shortly after. He never spoke of what happened again, until now. Aaron had spent the past 2 years obsessively researching the occult. The name Thomas Gray haunted his nights. He found scraps of journals, forbidden texts, and hidden forums filled with warnings about souls trapped in limbo, ancient necromancers, and cursed graves that never rested. But no matter how deep he dug, no one knew what happened once someone was claimed by the grave, until he received a mysterious letter. It was postmarked from a small town miles away, addressed only to the one who watched. Inside was a single sentence: "He's awake now, and he's looking for more." Along with the letter was a photograph, grainy and dark, but unmistakably of Daniel. Only it wasn't Daniel anymore. His face looked older, more decayed. His skin looked stretched, hollowed, but those same cold ancient eyes stared back at Aaron. This wasn't just possession. It was something much worse. A soul parasitized by something evil, something eternal. Determined to end it, Aaron packed his things and returned to the village. He wasn't afraid anymore. He knew now that Thomas Gray was more than myth. He had tasted death and returned, and if he wasn't stopped, he would take more lives, one after the other. Back in the village, things were worse than before. The cemetery had grown strangely quiet. Animals avoided it. Plants around it withered, and near the church, people had begun disappearing. A local priest had vanished the week before Aaron arrived. The air carried an unnatural chill. Whispers haunted the wind. Aaron visited the priest's home and found his diary. The final entry chilled him. "I saw Daniel last night, but it wasn't Daniel. His skin was gray, and he moved like a man who had forgotten what it meant to be alive. He whispered my name from the shadows." Aaron knew he didn't have much time. That night, he broke into the cemetery. Armed with candles, salt, a crucifix, and the old grimoire he'd uncovered from an abandoned monastery, Aaron made his way to the ancient grave. It had changed. The stone was gone, shattered, almost like something had broken free. The earth around it pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat underground. And then he heard it. A slow, dragging sound from the church's rear door. A figure emerged, familiar yet horrifying. Daniel. But it wasn't him. Not anymore. He stood taller, more rigid, as though he were being controlled by strings. His face had the same lifeless grin seen in the photograph. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Aaron stepped back. "Daniel, if there's anything of you left, fight him." The thing laughed, a guttural, hollow sound. "Daniel is sleeping. I wear him now, and I'm hungry." Aaron began reading from the grimoire. The words were ancient, sharp like broken glass in his mouth. The entity howled and charged. The candles around the grave burst into tall flames. Shadows twisted and danced. The ground trembled. As Aaron chanted louder, Daniel's body staggered, twitching as if something inside were trying to break free. "He's resisting!" Aaron cried. "Daniel, push him out!" But then everything went black. Aaron awoke underground, deep beneath the grave, just as Daniel had once fallen. The coffin was open, empty, chains broken. On the far wall, a new message had been carved into the stone. One must stay, for the other to leave. Suddenly, Daniel appeared, or what was left of him, his real self. Trapped, frail, lost. "Thomas used me. My body is his now, but my soul is here. And you opened the seal again. You've taken my place." Aaron's heart froze. "No! No! I was trying to free you!" Daniel shook his head. "There is no freedom here. Only exchange." Above them, a new coffin closed shut. Aaron screamed. The chamber sealed itself. And somewhere far above on the village road, a man walked out of the graveyard. He looked like Aaron. He spoke like Aaron. But his smile was not Aaron's. The village began to change. People trusted the newcomer. He was polite, helpful, calm. But soon strange things happened again. Fires started with no source. People woke screaming from shared nightmares. Animals howled at empty